the Punchline Academy. So, this is the League of the Elite MCs. We are the platform that gives the OGs their flowers before other platforms do. And I got my guy in the building, my brother, Kokane. Welcome to the Punchline Academy. What's up?
Appreciate y'all having us on, brother.
Fellow Pisces, by the way.
Yes, sir.
March 10th. And guess what day I'm born? March 9th.
And I'm March 17th.
And Miss Get is March 17th.
Wow.
The Pisces.
It's the P in the building.
Yeah. Okay, so I've heard you say before that you're actually from the Bronx.
Right.
How old were you when you went to the West Coast?
I was just shouty.
Okay.
It was too cold out here.
Too cold.
But on the real, my father, Jerry Buddy Long from Motown, he had some work in Detroit and L.A., so about like when I was 3 years old, we moved to Cali.
Okay. Yeah. And how was that growing up with such influence? I saw one time, I guess you posted that, what were they doing, like an honorary Motown thing, and you felt like they didn't include him, or?
Oh, absolutely. Now they, correcting it. He was an intricate part of the Motown sound. His works include Just My Imagination, Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Really?
Smiling Faces, worked on the Trouble Man album.
Production.
Production, arrangement, orchestration, director. Now,
really?
remember back then, they didn't have no MP3s or SP12s. So he was considered a musical genius at Motown Records, but prior to Motown Records, he did records with Frank Sinatra, Little Richard on the Chapel record, 1959. So, and plus my uncle is Uncle Willie Hutch. I Choose You.
Really?
And other things.
I got married to Willie Hutch.
Is that right?
That's a fact. We walked into I Choose You and we walked out the Outcast.
Yeah.
At our wedding.
Yeah. So we, between me and my cousin, Code 187 from Above the Law.
Yeah.
We come from music royalty.
Yeah, so you guys come from that type of background, and I hear it in your music, especially with the invention of G-Funk, which, we had a great conversation yesterday. We were talking about it, where it's like, you created this sound, and people, for some reason, don't credit it the way that they should.
I mean, we ain't the last ones, the first ones. This been going on for a minute, but we created the style of music called G-Funk, Above the Law and Kokane. Primarily Code 187 is the head guy of it. And it was something that we started in 1989 because we didn't want to call ourselves Parliament Babies, because we fashioned our music after the funk. So we turn it around and say, okay, we G's. We call it G-Funk. And at that time, me first, hopping on board with Ruthless Records, Eazy-E, rest in peace, in 1989. Warren G used to stay with us in Colton, California, Cottonwood Apartments, 187. So he kind of knew, where it came from, and we was an intricate part of a lot of people's sound, the influence, because G-Funk became like P-Funk. It became this phenomenon. That's in the history books. Yeah,
so Warren probably gets credit because he had the first record with Regulator. Would that be
what it was?
Like accurately? Or?
Yeah, no, what it was, during that time, I was a writer for NWA. I wrote Eazy-E's part on Appetite of Destruction. That was actually my first platinum record.
Congratulations to that. You've been getting money since the 1980s, my brother.
Oh, yeah. So, in a real way. So, I hopped on that record, and I remember we had the 100 Miles and Running, the video shoot, and we were playing Black Mafia Life, which ironically the Chronic sounds similar to Black Mafia Life. So we playing the stuff, and Dr. Dre said, what's that music you're playing, Hutch? I said, we call it G-Funk. So a lot of people didn't know that we influenced your Dre's, your Snoops, your Warren G's, your Nate Dogg's, you know what I mean, until this information age came. And it's ironic, too, because during the 1990s, Above the Law came out with one of the most prolific albums called Living Like Hustlers.
Yeah, classic.
And that was during the time when Warren G, a year later, saying, man, I'm going to bring this guy, Snoop Rock Ski up here, and Nate Dogg getting out the armed services, man, I want to bring him to audition. So actually, prior to Death Row, Snoop and Nate Dogg auditioned in front of Above the Law.
Really?
Yeah, because we were going to put them on at that time because we were all still cool with NWA, Niggas for Life album. Mm-hmm. But that 91 was an interesting year because there was a lot of shit going on. We put out the record. I put out my record. Epic Records didn't want to name my name Kokane. So we got pissed off at Epic Records because that was our distribution. Because at that time, Eazy-E was considered our West Coast Russell Simmons.
Yeah.
And the guy said, man, well, come on here, man. So it allowed me to introduce a character called Sweet Talk. Well, I write y'all across the USC, Compton, Watch. They don't be known to walk to the shadow and tell the pussy wall you'll see if, because that's my heritage, Jamaican. And that really did good for me. So that was like my humble surroundings into the game.
Kokane, we're glad you're here on this platform because you're telling a story that a lot of people aren't too familiar with. And something I've learned from MC Shot Rock is if you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you. Mm-hmm. So we're glad that you're giving us, the whole background on the origination of the G-Funk sound. And I think another interesting fact that our listeners would be glad to find out today on the show is that originally it wasn't called gangster rap. It was called reality rap.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Well, it was called street knowledge, reality rap. You know what I mean? Because there was reality, what we were all living through. But then, when we start doing our thing, media, which is stuck in tradition, it's mainly white folks. They turn around and they put a tag on us just like, it's gangster rap. Put a tag on us just like calling us niggas, as far as they're concerned. But we took it around and used it to our advantage. And that's where, gangster rap was birthed out of us calling it street knowledge and calling it reality rap because white media coined it. Not black folks, not brown folks.
Kokane,
white media did.
There's this story that goes around in hip hop that there was this big meeting where they sat down and decided, okay, we are going to push gangster rap. And so it could build up the prison industrial system. And when we spoke off air, you mentioned that this meeting, there's some truth to it.
Absolutely, there's some validity to that. I mean, anytime you come from a suppressed environment, these ghettos, and we're able to, move the dial on music, even with Dr. J and the ABA. Dr. J and the ABA move the dial to the NBA. You always got a corporate structure that comes in, and within that corporate structure, it's not always godly. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of evil shit going on behind closed doors. So when we came to Ruthless Records, we didn't know certain sides. Even though we come from the hood and all that, we didn't know certain sides. And it was some corrupt, put it like this, it was some corrupt things going around to where music was being altered to promote more of the negative side as opposed to the balance of music. See, I believe you can do a Training Day movie and then turn around and do a Malcolm X movie and it still will be right here. But if you notice in the 90s, when you had your X-Clans, your Poor Righteous Teachers, you had Public Enemy, they start veering away more from that and incorporating more because music is one of the most powerful elements of influence. You know what I mean? So it actually, when you're hearing stuff in a repetitive mode all the time, you know what I mean? It kind of rubs in and resonates into your spirit. And it's very influential because half the people that we emulate, especially growing up in the 80s, I mean, you look at the movie Colors, you look at different other things. I mean, we used to watch television and you didn't have a chance to go to New York or over here and you seen what it is and you wanted to become it. You know what I mean? So I think, I'm being very careful with my words. I think the powers that be wanted to put that magic in a bottle and use it for their own purposes, which a lot of stuff is, you know, based around Luciferian and satanic shit. Mm-hmm. Just put it like that.
Yeah.
And when you look at AT&T, you look at the NBA basketball players, you look at corporate structures and all that, everybody in on it. There's a lot of people that are invested into the program, into the private, you know, industrial, you know, business as far as private corporations, because they make a lot of money while packing niggas in jail. And it worked.
And it worked. Man, straight fucking jewelry here on the Punchline Academy. This is Sirius XM Shade 45. My guy Kokane is here. Let's play a classic. And we back here on the Punchline Academy.